Hello YouTube, this is just another guy talking about stuff. This video is going to be a little bit different than what we've been used to on the channel. It's something that I've been thinking about doing for a while, but for one reason or another, never really got around to it. Honestly, I'm not really sure how exciting this video is going to be. I hope you guys enjoy it, because today we're going to be taking a look at my DVD and Blu-ray collection. Before the days of streaming services having basically every movie and television show at the click of a button, you actually had to go out and buy physical media. Now, some people still do, usually for the special features content or commentaries. I know I was a big movie commentary buff, especially in like the mid-2000s. I'm sure this video will reflect that. But honestly, it's been a while since I've really been into buying DVDs and Blu-rays. You'll see that I have a very small Blu-ray collection. This DVD collection is even smaller than I used to have. I did get rid of a lot of DVDs the last time I moved, so these are the ones that I really wanted to keep. So let's get right into it, because this might take a little while. So here is my DVD and Blu-ray collection. The Young Ones. The Young Ones is a British comedy from the early 80s. Very funny show. If you've never seen it, I recommend highly checking this one out. Had 2 series, about 12 episodes. This is the whole collection right here. Just so you guys know, this is going to be totally random. I'm just picking these out of the box that I keep my DVDs in. I haven't had any real DVD storage in a while since I moved, because honestly, I really don't watch these anymore, because obviously I can watch anything I want from the click of a button, just from streaming. So that's an easier option. So these are basically in a box in a spare room that don't see the light of day unless I really want to watch a commentary or a movie that isn't on streaming for whatever reason. And in case I forget, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts in the comments. What do you guys think of the white backdrop compared to the old black backdrop? Not really sure how I feel. I do have a green screen as well, but that's a little bit too much work right now. Maybe someday in the future I'll get that up and running and I'll have a nice green screen background so I can put whatever I want behind me. Until then, it's going to be either the white or the black. Keeps things a little bit simple. But anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get to the DVDs. Family Guy, It's a Trap. This was the third Family Guy spoof of the Star Wars series. Again, spoofs Return of the Jedi, obviously. I think I have all 3 of these, so we'll get to those. But like I said, these are just going to be out of order. I'm just picking these out of a box. So I think most people know what this is. Frisky Dingo Season 1. You haven't heard of Frisky Dingo, I recommend checking this out. I believe it might be by the same studio that is Archer. It's very similar, like, comedy, art style. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure, and I really don't feel like looking it up right now. But definitely check out this series. It was an old Adult Swim cartoon that very clever and fun. Kentucky Fried Movie. This probably hasn't aged very well, but it's an old 70s, almost sketch comedy movie, directed by John Landis and written by the Zaz crew, the same crew that did Airplane. This was the movie that came out before that. If you don't mind a little bit of humor that might not have aged well, but want to check out a funny movie, I highly recommend Kentucky Fried Movie. Clerks, the Animated Series. Very short run on ABC. I think only 3 episodes ever got released. I believe they ran reruns on Comedy Central at some point. But again, a nice thing to check out, especially if you're into the View Askew universe. Again, another DVD I highly recommend if you can check out any of these episodes, if you can find them. Another set of movies that maybe haven't aged too well is the Revenge of the Nerds movies. The first one definitely has some questionable scenes that might not be appropriate in today's age. I mean, it wasn't really appropriate then, but we kind of, comedy ages poorly. What else can I say? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can look into it. It's not very hard to find, especially in the first movie. Second movie probably gets a little bit better, and then this also concludes the 3rd and 4th movies, which I believe were direct-to-TV. I don't, be honest with you, I don't really remember much about those movies, but, Revenge of the Nerds is a classic, despite its, 80s raunchy sex comedies, which were pretty popular in the 80s, but obviously have not aged very well, for obvious reasons. Soap. This is the first season of Soap, which was a soap opera spoof, I believe either late 70s or early 80s. A lot of good actors in this. Probably very topical humor for the time. I used to watch episodes of this on Comedy Central. I used to watch the reruns. They replayed those probably in the 80s or 2000s. So I think my parents were a big fan of soap, so I think they got me into it. I recommend it. I think it's a pretty cool show. It's very referential to soap operas of the time. A lot of convoluted plots, but done in a pretty funny way. So that's Soap. All right, this DVD is missing its cover, but it is season 1 of Mr. Show with Bob and David, a sketch comedy show aired on HBO, starring David Cross and Bob Odenkirk. I'm sure you recognize those names very well. They had a sketch comedy show on HBO in the 90s. That was extremely funny. A lot of people got their start on this show. You'll recognize a lot of names if you go through this. So I think I have 3 seasons of this. So if you haven't seen Mr. Show, check it out. I think they did a reprisal, new episodes, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago on Netflix. So you can probably check that out too. All right, Red Dwarf. If you don't know what Red Dwarf is, it's a science fiction comedy aired on the BBC. I don't know which channel. I'm not really up on the history of the BBC. Maybe it's not much as I should be, but that's not kind of the point. This is series 5. I have a bunch of series, so we'll be seeing a lot of these in this video, but this is series 5. The Tick animated series. I think I have seasons 1 and 2 of this. This is season 2. Like I said, we'll see what's in the box and see if I still have season 1. I think I do. But The Tick, if you don't know what The Tick is a comic book character created out of Boston. Very funny stuff. Kind of explores comic book tropes. That's been a very popular theme lately, is exploring comic book tropes, obviously with the rise of superheroes. So I know The Tick had a live action show recently. I can't remember which streaming service it aired on. I want to say Amazon. But the animated series was from on Fox Kids in the 90s, which, I was probably too old to watch cartoons back then, but The Tick was one that I could definitely get into. UHF starring Weird Al Yankovic. This movie's a classic if you haven't seen it. I'm sure everyone knows who Weird Al is, but his 80s movie, UHF, which I don't think did very well, but got a pretty good cult following. I was a huge Weird Al Yankovic fan when I was a kid, so definitely recommend checking this movie out if you haven't seen it. Dogma, another Kevin Smith movie. I don't know if I could say anything that hasn't been said about Dogma. If you haven't seen it, look into it. I think everyone can enjoy this movie. I say everyone. If you're, deeply religious, you might be a little bit offended, but it's a funny movie. Check it out. Star Trek the Motion Picture. I think I have this DVD basically for the commentary. It's definitely not my favorite movie out of the Star Trek franchise, but it's relevant for, historical purposes. It was the first motion picture that they did after the series. It came out, I believe, in the late 70s. This box is the director's edition, so the copyright is 2001, so that really doesn't help me. And again, I'm not in the mood to look things up right now, so check it out. Venture Brothers, Season 4. This season came out in 2 volumes. This is Volume 1. I think I have both still, if I'm not mistaken. But the Venture Brothers, another cartoon that kind of delves into comic book tropes. I hear a movie is being made, so I'm really excited for that. One of the best cartoons to ever air on Adult Swim. You can't convince me otherwise. Venture Brothers. Definitely highly recommended. Nightmare on Elm Street 3. I was a huge fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I think it's probably my favorite horror franchise. The third one might be the best. If I had to guess right now, off the top of my head, I'm saying go with Dream Warriors is the best one out of the bunch. Opinions might change as times go on, but I don't know what you think. Let me know what you think about Nightmare on Elm Street in the comments. What's your favorite one? I would love to hear about that. Like I said, this is definitely my favorite horror franchise, and 3 is probably my favorite movie out of the bunch. So, the first series of the BBC version of The Office, the UK version, obviously launched Ricky Gervais' Reyes' career. Classic. If you're a fan of the original Office, I definitely recommend checking this out. It's obviously a little bit different, with the UK humor being a little bit different than American humor. Obviously, the first season of the US Office didn't do too well. They based a lot of their ideas off this show, but definitely recommend checking this out if you're a fan of The Office. So if you haven't already, check out the UK version. Another Adult Swim cartoon that was very funny, C-Lab 2021. This, I believe, is the second season. I'm missing the cover box, but This is season 2. Crazy humor, very non sequitur humor. If you're into that kind of stuff, it's a great show. It gets funnier as it goes on too. Season 2 was a pretty good season though, if I remember correctly. The episode that kind of got me into the show was the Bizarre episode. I remember seeing that episode for the first time, thinking, "What the hell is this?" And then by the time I watched most of the series and got back to it, I got the joke. If you don't really know the characters or what's going on, and you just kind of jump into an episode, it doesn't make any sense. It's one of these shows that if you binge watch, I think it really captures the humor, and it's one of my favorite shows. So definitely check out C-Lab 2021 if you have not. Princess Bride's a classic. I don't know anything else I can say about The Princess Bride that hasn't been said. It's a classic movie. Check it out if you haven't seen this. You need to see this movie today, okay? The Boondocks, another Adult Swim cartoon. This is the first season. This is a great show. I still wish they were making these shows. I think they were very well done. I don't know what else can be said, like most of these DVDs that I've been talking about, but The Boondocks is a fantastic show. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely check it out. I'm just going to do all these movies at once. This is the Star Wars series, 1 through 6, or 4 through 6 and 1 through 3, if you want to talk about it like that. But, you know, it's Star Wars. I mean, I think everyone has to have at least some physical media of at least the first 6 Star Wars. It's Star Wars. You know, it's great. It's mostly great, let's say. I still have the Force Awakens DVD. I don't know if I have any other the new trilogies other than this one, but I did pick this one up. I mean, I think everyone's probably seen The Force Awakens. If you haven't, you're probably not going to by this point. Another BBC show, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, based off the radio series, based off the book. If you're a fan of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you need to watch the TV series if you haven't already. It's probably one of the best visual representations of Hitchhiker's Guide. Way better than the movie that came out in the 2000s. Follows the story a little bit better than the new movie did. Yeah, so if you're a fan of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and you haven't watched this version yet, I highly, highly recommend it. You need to watch this if you're a fan of Hitchhikers. And if you're not a fan of Hitchhikers, this is a good way to get introduced to the series. Nickelodeon Kids Show, one of my favorite shows in the 90s. I might have been a little bit too old demographically to watch it, but I think this is a show for all ages. The Adventures of Pete and Pete. This is the 2nd season. It's a fantastic show. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Always a good time. The Adventures of Pete and Pete. Here's one of the first Blu-rays that I'm showing. It is Deadpool 2. Obviously, if you know me at all, you know I'm a huge Deadpool fan. Have to have the Deadpool movies on DVD and Blu-ray. It's a necessity for me. So, Deadpool 2, it's great. I love Deadpool. All right, some more Blu-rays. You'll see that obviously my Blu-ray collection is pretty small, but this is Infinity War, Marvel Infinity War, one of the best Marvel movies out there. If you haven't seen it, I don't know anybody who hasn't seen this, to be honest with you, by now. So I think I saw Blu-rays at Five Below for $5. So if you haven't seen it yet, that's a good opportunity to go check it out. And next to that is Avengers Endgame. Again, if you saw Infinity War, you got to see Endgame because it's the follow-up, and it continues telling the story. It ends Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so, I mean, like I said, this movie made, like, tons of money, so I can't imagine anyone not seeing this movie if you're on YouTube. Here's my DVD of Deadpool, the first one. I don't know why put this sticker in the middle of it, but whatever. It's Deadpool. Love Deadpool. If you haven't seen Deadpool, check out Deadpool. What else can I say? Back to the Tick. This one is the live action version done in the 90s that was aired on Fox. I think it only had 1 season. Maybe not as good as the cartoon. I think the new series is probably even better than this one. But it's got Putty from Seinfeld. Patrick Warburton, obviously, very funny guy. Does the Tick very well. Does him justice. If you haven't seen this and you're a fan of the Tick, check it out. Elf. What else is there to say about Elf? Classic Christmas movie. One of the best Christmas movies of all time. Check it out. Another Adult Swim cartoon. I think you'll see a theme. I was kind of big on collecting these Adult Swim cartoons back in the day. Back before you could watch them streaming anytime you wanted. So Aqua Teen Hunger Force, this is the first volume. You know, it's Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It's that silly, non sequitur humor that, you know, kind of swept the 2000s. Great show. Here's a special edition of Batman 69. The classic Adam West version. Burt Ward as Robin. I mean, if you haven't seen this or you don't know what it is, you have to check out the old Batman series. It's silly, but it's funny. It's not the Batman that I think we're used to today, but they make it work. It's campy. It's funny. Check this out if you haven't seen it, please. This is top notch. Another Aqua Teen Hunger Force property. This is the actual movie. Full title was Aqua Teen Hunger Force: the movie film for theaters. This is for DVD. So they added that to the title just to be silly, because I mean, let's be honest, Aqua Teen Hunger Force is pretty silly. So if you like the series, you got to check out the movie. It's just basically a very long episode, super silly stuff. I was a big fan of Aqua Teen Hunger Force back in the day. I don't know what else to say. All right, here's the third season of Mr. Show. Again, I lost the front box for it. DVD's falling out of there. I already talked about Mr. Show, so. There's the third season of the Boondocks. I already talked about the Boondocks, but like I said, recommend it. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Half Baked, classic stoner comedy from, I believe, the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. The DVD says 98, so that's late 90s comedy. Dave Chappelle, it's a classic stoner comedy. If you haven't seen it, I don't know where you've been, because it basically runs all the time on Comedy Central and other movie stations. So, Half Baked. Family Guy Blue Harvest, another one of the Star Wars spoofs that Family Guy did. I believe this was the first one. Yeah, you know what Family Guy is, you know what Star Wars is. It's a Family Guy Star Wars spoof. I'm sure everyone watching this has probably seen it, so you know what to expect. All right, another DVD I had lost the top box for, the big box that holds this all together. But this is He-Man, Masters of the Universe, the old 80s cartoon. This is the 10 best episodes DVD. Best of season 1, best of season 2, 2 discs. T-Man, come on, it's great. This is my favorite movie of all time, Mallrats, another Kevin Smith movie, his follow-up to Clerks. It's probably not the best movie ever made, I'll be honest. It is my favorite, though. It just captures that 90s humor, 90s culture. What else can I say about Mallrats? Watch this movie if you haven't seen it. It's my favorite movie of all time. All right, 2-disc special edition of Superman 2. This is not the Richard Donner cut. This is the other guy, Richard Lester. But I don't even remember what's on the second disc of this, to be honest with you. It's got a bunch of special features that I probably watched at one point and forgotten about. But Superman 2 is a classic. Come on. Here's the first season of The Tick. Already talked about it, so I got the first season and second season. Good cartoon. The complete series of Firefly. If you don't know what Firefly is, it was a Joss Whedon sci-fi western show that got a cult following. Got cut short. It aired on Fox, I believe. They canceled it early. Got a little cult following. Got a movie out of it, but this is all they did. But it was really well done. It's really good. Haven't watched it in a while, but I remember it being really fantastic. It's a show that I didn't get into at first. You know, I didn't really get the hype, but then once I started getting into it, I had to get the DVD because that's how good it was. All right, another DVD that I lost the big cover for, holding us all together, but this is the Aqua Teen Volume 2. I think I talked enough about Aqua Teen Hunger Force, but you know, if you don't know what this is, you know, maybe check out some clips. You might not understand it at first. I'm not sure if I still understand it, but it's a funny show. It was funny to me anyway. All right, here's another classic, Saved by the Bell. This is seasons 3 and 4. I think I have the other seasons. Actually, you know what? I'll do both right here since it's sitting there. Bam. Saved by the Bell. 4 seasons of Saved by the Bell. It's Saved by the Bell. I mean, it was a great show. It's a classic. Not much else I could say about it. If you don't know what's Saved by the Bell, check out the Zach Morris's Trash series. I believe on Funny or Die, I think they did series. It's on one of the YouTube channels out there. It goes about how, you know, basically the lead character, Zach Morris, was actually a horrible person. And, you know, it was supposed to teach us lessons, but I don't think it ever really did because he never really got his comeuppance. And just kept doing the same jerky things that he did show after show. But, I mean, it was a great, it's classic 90s teen comedy, so gotta have these. I don't know if any DVD collection is complete without the trilogy of Back to the Future. It's Back to the Future. I mean, if you don't know what Back to the Future is, I don't know where you've been. Classic. especially the first two. Third one I could do without, but you know it completes the trilogy. So good special features on this, by the way. I really like the commentary that they did on these movies, so definitely check this out. Definitely check this out if anything but for the commentary. Not another teen movie. One of those spoof movies that kind of spoof teen comedies at the time, early 2000s. Really good soundtrack, actually. If you don't want to watch the movie, I suggest checking out the soundtrack. If you like 80s music, they did a really good cover of a bunch of 80s songs. This is a pretty funny movie. It's got Chris Evans in it, a bunch of other people that you might recognize. So yeah, check out this movie if you haven't seen it yet. All right, we're going to get into the horror franchise here with House of a Thousand Corpses, one of Rob Zombie's first movies. It's a classic horror movie, very gory. If you're not a fan of horror and gore, skip this one. If you are a fan of horror and gore, check this out. You've probably seen it already if you're a fan, so I don't know what else to say about it. It's a great, good horror movie. Not necessarily a horror movie, but maybe have some horror elements to it. Tim Burton's Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Classic Pee-wee. If you're a fan of if you're my age and a fan of the 80s and you know who Pee Wee Herman is, and you've probably seen this movie, it's very well done. It's you know, one of those irreverent movies that, you know, stand the test of time, I think. Timeless classic, Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Some people don't get it, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Love this movie. This is another C-Lab 2021 DVD. I believe this is Season 1. We already talked about this, but, you know, check this out if you have Adult Swim streaming. You know, check these episodes out. I think they're hilarious. Here's a Chris Guest comedy. Christopher Guest is known for his mockumentaries. This is a mighty win. I think probably his best. I think it's better than Spinal Tap. Some people would probably disagree with that. This is Spinal Tap is a classic, but A Mighty Wind I think is probably his crown jewel of the mockumentary. Great, check it out. All right, another Family Guy Star Wars DVD, something Dark Side. This was the sandwich in between the two. This is the second one. I mean, if you haven't seen these yet, I'm pretty sure they're easy to find online. If you're into Star Wars and you're into Family Guy, might as well worth checking them out. Of course, Fight Club, classic movie. Not much else I could say about how amazing this is. You know, in hindsight, you look back on the twist, and I think it's been done so many times that it might be a little more obvious now. But in the 90s, like, everyone's kind of blown away by this movie. A lot of good commentary on the DVD, but also too online. There's a lot of good commentary about the movie itself. So, you know, check it out if you haven't seen it, because I think it's one of those movies that everyone should at least watch once. Another Nightmare on Elm Street. This is 2, Freddy's Revenge. It's kind of notorious for not being the best one of the series. Kind of a weird follow-up. They broke a lot of the rules that they set in the other movies. You know, not bad. And like I said, I'm a big fan of the franchise. So I got most of these movies pretty cheap, I think, at one point. And again, a lot of good commentary on these. So if you're a fan of Nightmare on Elm Street, I'd suggest getting the DVDs just for the commentary, just to hear some of the words that the people involved in the movie had to say about it. So check it out. Season 1 of Pete and Pete, The Adventures of Pete and Pete. It's a fantastic show. I can't stress this is a show for all ages. So, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty timeless too. I don't think it doesn't really have any period to it. So I think it's something that you can watch any even younger kids will enjoy. You know, it doesn't, obviously it's set in the 90s, but I think it's a great show. I don't know what else to say about it. Another classic, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I always thought it was Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail, but I was actually reading about this movie a little while ago and realized that is not the entire. That's not the title. It's just Monty Python and the Holy Grail. There's no quest involved. But I mean, there's a quest involved in the movie, but not in the title. I mean, if you haven't seen this yet, it's a classic comedy. Yeah, go watch it. It's a little strange. Might be a little strange for people now. Kind of a little bit fourth wall breaking in there. A lot of silly humor, but it's a classic. I mean, it's one of the funniest movies of all time. Another C-Lab 2021. This is season 3. I've spoken enough about these shows. The commentaries on these DVDs are pretty good too. So if you're a fan of the show, I recommend picking up the DVD just to listen to the commentary tracks. Grandma's Boy, another 2000 stoner comedy about a video game designer. I don't know how well it aged. I haven't watched this one in a while. I remember it's a pretty funny movie. It's worth having on DVD, I guess. At least I thought it was. So if you haven't seen Grandma's Boy and you're into stoner comedies, give this one a watch. Another Nightmare on Elm Street. This is 5, The Dream Child. I think this one's underrated a little bit. I think this one got a little slack. The kills are really good in this one. So if you're a fan of funny Freddy and like more comedic Freddy, this is definitely worth checking out. Hot Fuzz, classic movie here. Edgar Wright directed. Very well done. If you're a fan of Shaun of the Dead, you have to check out Hot Fuzz. This is a great movie. The Holiday. I don't know why I have The Holiday, but I have The Holiday. So, do you like The Holiday? Let me know in the comments. You wouldn't be able to tell from this box, but it is the second disc to the Venture Brothers. Again, talked about this show before. If you're a fan of comic books, check out the Venture Brothers. It's one of the best shows Adult Swim ever put on. Even better than Rick and Morty. I'll say it. Another DVD of C-Lab 2021. This is season 4. It might be their last season, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I said enough about this. Good series. Check it out. Here we have a 2-for-1 DVD. National Lampoon's Vacation and European Vacation. I was never really a big fan of European Vacation, but Vacation's a classic movie. It's one of the best comedies of all time. Definitely one of the best Chevy Chase movies of all time. So if you're a Chevy Chase fan, check this one out. If you haven't seen this already, I don't know where you've been, but if you haven't, check at least Vacation out because it's a classic. Major League. This DVD box has a little AstroTurf on it, so that's pretty neat. But it's Major League. I mean, come on. If you like baseball and you like baseball movies and you like 80s comedies, you can't get much better than Major League. Great cast. What else is there to say? It's Major League. See it. All right, these two again were together. This is Red Dwarf. Already talked about that. This is series 3 and 4. I have a lot of these DVDs. There was a lot of good commentary, a lot of good special features on these. So if you're a fan of Red Dwarf, I recommend picking up the DVDs because you'll get more out of it than just watching the episodes. There's a lot of bonus features in these that are worth watching. So great show. Again, just happened to pick up Red Dwarf Series 2 after that. So I guess they were all kind of got together in the box. Again, Red Dwarf Series 2. Here's the second series of The Office. Again, I already talked about the first series. Like I said, if you're a fan of The Office, check out the UK version. It's not exactly the same, but I think you'll find a lot of humor in it. So, good stuff. Freddy vs. Jason. 2 horror icons coming together. Commentary track, I think, was really good on this. So, I think that's why I kept it. Because, I've probably seen this movie a bunch of times. Kind of know most of it. Is it great? No. But it's good, and it's 2 horror icons from my youth coming together to battle it out, and that was worth the price of admission. So, Freddy vs. Jason. Another Kevin Smith movie. I think you'll see a theme as we go along. I'm a big fan of Kevin Smith movies. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I'll be honest with you, this wasn't my favorite out of the bunch, but you felt like I was collecting most of the VSQ Universe movies. So this is on the list, and good commentary tracks on this one too. So a lot of special features. So if you're a big fan of Kevin Smith, it's worth having a DVD just for the special features. So not like I said, not his best work, but good enough, funny enough. So if you're a fan of Kevin Smith, you've probably seen it. But if you're a little bit of a fan and haven't seen this, check it out. Yet another Red Dwarf. This is series 6. This isn't even opened yet. I don't know how long. I've probably had this for about 15 years. Nah, maybe not that long. But I've had this for a while and haven't opened it yet. You can find all the episodes basically online. But again, if you're into the commentary, maybe I'll have to get around to watching this finally. Watching the commentary on this. So, all right. Red Dwarf. Come on, it's The Big Lebowski. It's a classic. What else is there to say about The Big Lebowski? It's a great movie. The Dude, right? Yeah, classic movie. What else can I say? Apparently I have Deadpool on Blu-ray as well as DVD. I'm not sure why, but this actually has a DVD in it as well. So for some reason I have both a Deadpool DVD and the Blu-ray that also comes with the DVD. For reasons I can't explain. I guess I'm just that big of a Deadpool fan. Another Blu-ray I have is Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Arguably the best DC movie that they've put out this decade. So, or at least last decade, because it's 2021 now. Keep forgetting that. I love this show. I love this movie. I think it's hilarious. Even though I'm way too old to be watching cartoons like this. You know what? I don't think you're ever too old to be watching cartoons like this. It's good for fun for all ages, I'd say. Fun for all ages. Aqua Teen Hunger Force, go to the movies. If you haven't seen this, if you haven't watched these shows and you're a fan of comic books, I'd highly recommend checking this out. I bought the Blu-ray for a reason, because I loved the movie. I thought it was amazing. Here's a DVD I picked up cheap for $3. It's Dr. Katz Season 1. If you don't know Dr. Katz, it was a show on Comedy Central, I believe, in the 90s. It's a really funny show, done by a lot of comedians, just it feels like a lot of improv. The DVD has commentary tracks on it too, so it's probably worth, so if you can pick it up for cheap like this, and even if you haven't seen it, it's probably worth $3 just to check it out, okay? Dr. Katz. Super classic movie, It's a Wonderful Life. What else can you say about It's a Wonderful Life? It's been spoofed to death, it's been referenced to death, it's for a reason, it's one of the best movies, definitely one of the best Christmas movies you can find out there. It stood the test of time, it's a classic, check it out. Here's a combo disc, Hellraisers 1 and 2, arguably the best out of the Hellraiser series. I did like 3 a lot, but 1 is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Probably my favorite horror movie of all time. Nightmare on Elm Street, I'd say, is my favorite franchise, but Hellraiser might be my favorite horror movie of all time. It's a classic. If you're a fan of horror and you obviously know who Pinhead is, but maybe you haven't seen the movie yet, I highly recommend checking out at least the first Hellraiser. Big fan. Good job. All right, this DVD case is kind of blown to bits. I don't know what happened to it, but it is the first Nightmare on Elm Street. What else can you say? It's a classic. All right, next up, Requiem for a Dream. It's a very good movie. It's super well done, great visuals. This is a movie, if you're a fan of movies, check out this movie. It's gorgeous. It's really well done, tells a good story. Yeah, it's a classic for a reason. Requiem for a Dream. All right, here you go. Speaking of classics, Wrath of Khan, Star Trek II, the best Star Trek movie ever made. Pretty sure I'm confident in saying that a lot of people feel like that. I would definitely agree with that statement. I love this movie. If you're a fan of Star Trek and you haven't seen Wrath of Khan, I don't know if you're really a fan of Star Trek. I'll say it. I'll be honest. Love this movie. All right, Super Mario Brothers Super Show. I don't even know why I have this DVD, but I have the whole series, I think. This is a great show. I basically just have this because it's very nostalgic for me. I obviously grew up with video games, grew up with Mario Brothers. This has the skits with Captain Lou Albano and the other guy. Sorry to the other guy that played Luigi. I always forget his name, but obviously Captain Lou played Mario. Do the Mario. I think it's worth checking out just for the nostalgia factor, and check out the Mario cartoon and see what they thought about Mario back in the day. Okay, another DVD that I lost the main box for, but this is The Brak Show. Another one of those Adult Swim comedies that are just non sequitur humor, hilarious. Took the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons and took characters from it and just made them silly people, and they were great shows. If you weren't around for like early Adult Swim, like classic, like I would highly recommend checking this out. Checking out all the old Adult Swim cartoons, actually, because the golden age of Adult Swim was definitely a good time. Another classic Christmas movie, probably my favorite Christmas movie, A Christmas Story. It airs on TBS on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve for a reason, because it's one of the best Christmas movies of all time. And if you haven't seen it yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Maybe wait for this Christmas to roll around and check it out, because it's a classic. It's a Christmas Story. Come on. What else is there to say? The original Tron. I grew up with this movie. Remember having it on VHS. I think it might have even been recorded off of like HBO or something. Has commentary on it. I really don't remember too much of it, to be honest with you. But I think it did have a lot of like fun facts about the movie. It's a technical masterpiece if you're really into movies, but it's Tron. It's a classic. All right, another DVD of The Brak Show that we've talked about. This is Volume 2. Love The Brak Show. I think it was one of the funniest shows Adult Swim put out. I feel like I've been saying that a lot, but it's just how I feel. Good stuff. All right, another Mr. Show DVD that I lost the main box for, so I just have the the insides. I believe this is the 4th season. So this is the 4th season. It's Mr. Show. I mean, it's like I said. It's if you're into sketch comedy, and you haven't seen Mr. Show with Bob and David, I think you can find a lot of the episodes on YouTube. Worth checking out, definitely. We already talked about Hot Fuzz. Here's Shaun of the Dead. It's a classic. If you're into zombie movies and you're into comedies, you can't miss this one. I think everyone's probably seen Shaun of the Dead. What else is there to say? Shaun of the Dead. Great movie. Watch it. Strange Wilderness. This is a movie probably a lot of people haven't really heard of. Don't know much to say about it. It was kind of silly. It's one of those silly comedies, kind of like a stoner comedy that Adam Sandler's production team put out in the 2000s. I think. It came out in 2008. If you're into weird stoner comedies, it's probably worth checking out. Sometimes comedy ages pretty poorly, but this is a pretty funny movie, so if you haven't seen it, maybe think about giving it a look. All right, Strange Wilderness. The Masters of the Universe live-action movie, panned by critics and audiences when it first came out. It's a cult classic, though. Obviously, I'm a child of the 80s. I loved my He-Man. I liked this movie growing up. The commentary, I think, is really, really good on this. They kind of talk about the restraints they had making the movie and kind of why it maybe didn't turn out the way people expected it to. But if you're a fan of He-Man at any level and you haven't seen Masters of the Universe, I think it's worth checking out at least once. I was a fan. What can I say? The guilty pleasure is Masters of the Universe for me. All right, Venture Brothers again. This is series season 3. Love the box art. It looks like an old classic Atari game, but Venture Brothers, I've said enough about it already. Great show. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. If you haven't heard of this movie, I wouldn't be surprised. It's kind of one of those cult classic movies, early 80s, I believe. Came out in 1984. Yeah, I don't really even know how to explain this movie to you, but if you're into like weird comedies and science fiction, this has one of my favorite quotes in it, which is, "Remember, wherever you go, there you are." So, if you're into weird sci-fi comedies, check out The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. Got a great cast in this too. So look it up and definitely check it out if you haven't seen it yet. All right, we're actually getting towards the end here. I only got a few more in the box. The Pee Wee Herman Show. This was his live stage show. I probably watched this way too young when I was a kid. I think I might have rented it from the video store. My parents probably thought it was just another Pee Wee Herman show, like the kids show. It's not. It's for adults. So do not show this to your kids without watching it first. It's got a little bit of raunchy humor in it. It's got, but it's a great show. If you like Pee Wee Herman and you're an adult now, if you liked him as a kid and you're an adult now, check this one out. You could probably find it online pretty easily. It's got Phil Hartman in it, so that's a plus. If you're any bit of a fan of Pee Wee Herman as a kid, check out his stage show. It was really good. Another Red Dwarf DVD. This is Series 1. Again, we've talked about Red Dwarf a lot. I was a big fan. Obviously, I know a lot of the series on DVD. If you don't want to, invest in the DVDs, you can probably find these online pretty easily. So, like I said, I've said enough about Red Dwarf. If you're a fan of sci-fi comedy, watch Red Dwarf because it's one of the best. Here's the box for Clerks. I believe it was the 10th anniversary edition of Clerks. It had 3 DVDs in here. I think I'm missing one at the moment. Don't know where it happened to that, but it had the theatrical cut and the original rough cut that got shown, I believe, at one of the festivals, probably Sundance or something like that. Don't quote me on that. You could probably Google it if you want to. I'm not here to Google things right now. I'm here to show off my DVD collection. So, this is Clerks, classic movie. Launched Kevin Smith's career. We all know who he is now because of this movie. Great story behind it too if you don't know, about how Kevin Smith basically just sold his entire comic book collection, maxed out all his credit cards, and said I'm gonna go for broke, and it worked. It worked out for him. Look where he is now. But Clerks, check it out. Especially if you're a fan of movies in general, like this is a textbook example of how to make a movie on a low budget. So, Clerks. I mean, I'm sure everyone's heard of this movie, but definitely give it a look. Follow-up, Clerks 2, came out way after Clerks did. I believe could have been even like 10 to 15 years later after Clerks. I'm not exactly sure the date. 2006, so probably around a little over 10 years. which, you know, looking back at it now, probably feels like a lot longer, but yeah, I mean, if you've seen Clerks, you gotta see Clerks 2 just to see the follow-up. Was it that good? That's to be debated. I'll be honest with you, it probably wasn't the biggest fan of it, but obviously I was a big enough fan to buy the DVD. Like I said, I'm a big Kevin Smith guy, so yeah, not much else to say about this one. I probably bought it when Blockbuster was going out of business here in 2006, or at least close to going out of business. When did Blockbuster go out of business? I don't actually remember. Alright, I probably could have planned this out a little bit better because I'm almost done, and feel like this is going to end pretty anticlimactically, but if you made it this far, I really do appreciate it. Please give the video a like, share the video with your friends, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to really boost my subscribership. I'm sitting at 77 currently at the recording of this video. We're trying to get that number to at least 100 for my Buffalo Wild Wings challenge. So, you know, try to help me out here and, you know, give the video a like. Let me know what you think about these movies in the comments too, because I'm really interested to see if you've seen any of these, if you're a fan, if you're not a fan, anything you want to say. You know, I'm trying to be interactive on my comment section. I'm a pretty small YouTuber at this point, so it's not like I have anything else better to do in my comment sections. The last two movies here, Rent. You know, the movie version of Rent, it's a classic. It's iconic musical. I was a big fan of it back in the day. I don't know how much of a fan of it I am now, to be honest with you, but it's got some decent songs in it for a musical. I'm not really a big musical person, but as far as musicals go, it was pretty good. You know, if you haven't seen it, it's a classic, maybe worth checking out at least once. It's Rent, and I think everyone's said enough about Rent over the past 20, 30 years. So, and the last DVD on the list, The Devil's Rejects. Like I said, this is ending pretty anticlimactically. I didn't really have an order to this or anything. The follow-up to With House of a Thousand Corpses. If you're a fan of Rob Zombie horror movies, you've probably seen this already, so, you know, if you're not a fan of Rob Zombie movies, don't watch it, because it's probably not your type of tea. But if you haven't watched it yet, and you're a fan of horror movies, check out this and House of a Thousand Corpses, because they're really well done. I really can't speak to the third one that they came out recently. I haven't watched that one yet, but the first two, definitely horror classics. Horror modern classics, we'll call them. How about that? So that's it. That's my DVD collection. Like I said, I used to have a lot more, but I did get rid of a bunch of them when I moved the last time. So this is the ones that I hung on to. So these were the cream of the crop. So like I said, let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, witty sign-off catchphrase.